Can you see me? I can see me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
There you are.
Okay, I guess I'm ready.
Hi, Mike.
Nicholas had written me to see if I was having any technical difficulties. I don't think I am.
No, you sound pretty clear. Yeah, it's good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, we'll definitely get started here pretty soon. But yeah, thank you for joining us and yeah, having your friend, or I don't know what you call Nick. What does she call you, Nick?
Grandson. I'm her grandson.
That's right. He's my grandson, Nick. Big grandson, Nick.
Okay, he's a good grandson.
Yeah.
Chopping woods and
yeah,
fry bread and tortillas and some.
Now, I hope you all don't want me to answer the question, would Jesus eat fry bread? I don't know what I would say. I would have to say yes.
Good. You're in the right company then.
I think the hi Henrietta, I'm Tim. I think one of the main arguments.
What is your name?
I'm Tim. I'm from Tim Webster. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Fine.
I'm Haudenosaunee, Oneida.
Nice. All of you all are right at the conference, aren't you?
One of the arguments is isn't you know, whether Jesus would eat fry bread, but whether he'd prefer Lakota fry bread or Oneida fry bread or Navajo fry bread. So that's the real argument, I think.
Oh, the real argument is would he prefer Cheyenne? Hey, I like your T-shirt. How come I never got one? Hold it up, Tim.
Oh, this one?
Oh, yeah, that's nice. 2019. That was last year then, huh?
Yeah, last year's WJEF.
You don't have one for this year?
You know, we didn't make one, but I've got a Fry Bread Power T-shirt I could send you.
Oh, I would love that. And I would take it if it were your kind of fry bread.
It doesn't specify whose, so.
Okay.
Well, maybe you can text Nick your size, and I'll make sure you get one.
Oh, I don't mind telling you, it's extra large.
Okay.
And if they're cut tiny like women, forget it. Give me a double XL.
Okay.
Us grandmas don't have that little Coke bottle figure anymore. At least this grandmother doesn't. How many students do you have registered?
About 100, I think.
There we go.
Oh, wonderful. That's good. 100's a good number.
It is. There's been some that have kind of had to pop in and out at different points of the schedule because they've got jobs and families and stuff. So,
of
but
course.
all in all, about 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and mixed in with a couple of other staff and volunteers and guests just coming to hang out and hear some good wisdom. So yeah, hopefully everybody's back on now. If you guys aren't on, I see some people missing from their screens. You can come and join us now. We're going to get to hear from another elder, which what I love about this conference is being able to sit at the feet of elders and to just hear their wisdom gleaned from what they can share with us younger folks. I'm not that young anymore, but still I need all that wisdom to soak it all in from Zoom, and that's why we smudge like this, because we want to take it all in, right?
I'm getting ready to get on. Or did you want something?
We have some very special guests with us tonight. And
where at? In the city?
No, I'm going over here.
Oh, okay.
In case you didn't know, we were supposed to do this conference in Oklahoma this year.
About an hour.
And
at least an hour, maybe a little bit longer.
And we heard about Henrietta, her name being dropped to be able to speak to us for this conference. So we're just going to go ahead and kick off with her little talk. And I'm not going to tell her to mute, because you don't do that to elders. You don't tell them what to do, right, Nick? You don't tell them what to do at all.
Nick is the puppeteer. Yeah. I'm his puppet. I only say what he tells me to.
Well, I hope it goes the other way too. You tell him what to do. Yeah, to start a fire or whatever you guys do up in Yakima.
Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead and kind of introduce you, Donnie? I can get going.
Yeah. So I'll introduce you first, and then you
Okay.
introduce.
Yeah.
You recognize who our good friend of WJF is. His name is Nicholas Rostick from Yakima. We were actually in Yakima 2013, so he treated us well with some venison. That was some of the best deer meat I ever had. I don't know if you remember that, Nick, but I think one of your relatives probably went and shot the deer the day before and then marched out.
Yeah.
Cut it
It
up.
was an elk, Donnie. It was an elk.
It was elk.
We're
I'm sorry.
clear.
Elk.
Was
It
anyone part of butchering that elk? Anyone way back when? Mike Kelly, Deanna
Mike Kelly,
Ivins.
there you go. Another avid hunter. There you go. So Nick calls Mike Kelly. What do you call him, Nick?
So Mike and Julie are more like mom and dad, but Uncle Bobby calls him the great grandfather of the West, I think, and I don't think Mike appreciates that necessarily, but.
So Mike and Julie are on staff with Nations, and they've adopted Nick, so they're trying to adopt him out again. So if anyone wants,
no one wants me, yeah.
30-year-old or I don't know, younger 30-year-old man to take care of, Nick is your guy. So he can, I think, if you're pushing through adoption papers, write Nicholas Ross right on top, so you can bring him in. But that's Nicholas Ross. I've known him for quite a while. He's from Yakima. He works at the American Indian Programs, probably not what it's called in Bozeman, right, Nick?
Yeah. Bozeman, Montana.
Bozeman, Montana. So
That's right.
So I'm gonna let him take over and introduce our speaker for tonight, so he can take me off the spotlight and just put it on Nick and Henrietta.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you to WJEF. It's always a tremendous highlight to be a part of the conference. And like Donnie, I think, or Hillary had mentioned, I think this year the goal was to try to have it in Oklahoma. So just a little bit about myself, and it ties into our speaker. I received my undergraduate degree at Montana State University, and I actually work there now. But I remember when I first stepped onto campus, this is some years ago. I'm a first-gen college student. I'm a foster care kid. I went through the foster care system. And what I didn't know about college was that you had to pick up, you had to pick a major. I didn't know I had to sign up for housing. And so I really wanted to have an adventure, I guess, going into college. And part of that experience, my first year, I was such kind of a troublemaker that I saw the president of the university. And as we were working through that process, I'm 2 states away from home. I'm an enrolled member of the Yakima Nation. I'm not really kind of sure of what I'm doing. I had met then the president of Montana State University, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Gamble. And he's a huge advocate for American Indian people. But even more impressively, I came to learn there was this elder, this really strong indigenous woman that even he gave deference to, and that was Dr. Henrietta Mann, who at the time was a special advisor to President Gamble. And his successor, Dr. Waded Cruzado, eventually kept her on, asked her to stay on. But I always like what a treat. Like, here I am, this kind of knothead college student in Montana, and I have one of the giants of American Indian higher education working right on the same campus. And so with Grandma Henry over the years, she's watched me as a student working, and I graduated from Montana State University. And now I work. I have the tremendous privilege of trying to build on the legacy of Dr. Mann and the work that she's done. And I'll just give you some quick highlights. She taught for 28 years at the University of Montana. She helped found the Native American Studies Department at UC Berkeley. She's worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs as one of the Secretary of Indian Education, the Assistant Deputy Secretary. If you've been in college or university setting and you're a Native student, anywhere in America, you probably have been impacted by her work. The Oklahoma state legislature has honored her. Montana, we've given her, the governor has given her a Lifetime Achievement Award. In 1991, Rolling Stone named her one of the best, 10 best professors in America. I think she's pretty proud of that. And I know Grandma Henry has a particularly soft spot for us here in Bozeman. I know she tries to get back here as much as she can. I know she's in Oklahoma right now. But yeah, just what a tremendous honor. And I will be quiet now because she is my elder, but she was really excited. I know she told me that she got her WJEF bag, and she was pretty excited about that. And it looks like we're hopefully going to get her a t-shirt too. So go ahead, Grandma Henry. We'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, grandson. Oh, this is a beautiful day. Never mind that there is a lot of imbalance out in that world. We're together. We're in community. We have love and respect for each other. And that is really what community is all about. But before I go any further, I'd also like to thank the organizers of this conference. And I really like the title, Would Jesus Eat Fry Bread? And in my estimation, of course he would. If he didn't, neither would we. And so maybe it was even that manna that fell from heaven. Who knows? It could have been fry bread. We'll never really know. But before I begin, I would really like to make a land acknowledgement of my own. I know land acknowledgements are now the way that a lot of conferences are begun. And so we'll do that today. I certainly would like to begin by acknowledging this magnificent, expansive land. And of course, it is known by different names in the indigenous languages of the people who were first to live here. As but one example, we as Cheyennes call this Manhaf, which is the word for an island, Manhaf. And Stanil, and you may hear me use that term throughout my presentation, means the natural, ordinary peoples of this land, of this spectacular island home that we lived on. Our ancestors lived on it for millennia upon millennia upon millennia. You can just keep going. Anyway, way before 1492. I always stop and look at that year because it is almost as if life here began then, but we know better as the descendants of the indigenous peoples who were first to love this land. And so we know this land of ours as the United States of America, but we must never forget, and I try not to forget that this is our original homeland. It's ours. It's ours. Never mind that treaties were used to decrease our land holdings. It's still ours. And we now share this beautiful, magnificent, expansive land with multitudes of people from all over the world. My goodness, from every country in this world. And so 1492 is, at least for others, the beginning of life on this continent, in this hemisphere. But let's go back much later than 1492. In that time prior to Anglo-European contact, our beloved ancestors evolved our own histories, our cultures, our philosophies, and our spiritual ways as they walked this road of life. They had sophisticated belief systems and law ways given them at creation. Now, contrary to what any of the papal bulls might say, or any of the so-called discoverers of this land say, we're certainly, I don't know who they are, in terms of being referred to as the savage heathens of this land. We had the greatest philosophers of this world. We had the greatest astronomers. We had the greatest of all educational systems that we had developed ourselves over time. We had our own communities, a very gigantic community of the earth. And so these very sophisticated belief systems and lawways were given to each of us at creation. I really am troubled many times when those who are very unfamiliar with us as this land's indigenous peoples refer to us in the singular form, American Indian. There is no one typical American Indian, and there is no one typical American. And so we have been here for a very long period of time. In looking back at our history, we established the first communities on this land. We had the first communities. Our languages were exceptionally diverse, and unfortunately, following contact, it was our languages that really bore the frontal assault of assimilation in those off-reservation boarding schools and those manual labor type schools that were located on each of our nation's respective reservations. We have our own views of our creation, which are as sacred to us as the account of creation in the book of Genesis. Ours are that sacred. And for us, our creation accounts contain the foundational principles for how we must live in relationship with everybody and with everything in our environment. We knew what community is. And so essentially, we were taught to live as good relatives in this community setting. Relatives who love, respect, and trusted one another, and who shared a common identity and history. I think we can look at any description of community today, and those are some of the aspects of how community is defined. And so this concept of community embraced this exquisite earth, our first home. And it certainly predated the coming of our relatives from Europe and other places in the world. Community for us was all encompassing, and we lived in proper and loving relationship with this blue planet Earth, this big blue marble. And our tribal unique accounts of creation can be found in our oral traditions, which have been passed down through time from one generation to the other through and by our traditional knowledge keepers. And they hold our precious stories from creation to today in their hearts and in their minds. What a responsibility and a privilege that is for those that are entrusted with our sacred stories and our stories of living. I would like to share with you today just a very quick synopsis of our creation as Cheyenne people. Tzitzis, the people hearted alike, or the people with like hearts is what Cheyenne in our language means. Zitsistais. We're alike, hearted alike people. We were blessed with Cheyenne hearts in much the same way that you have been blessed with the hearts of your respective nations, whether it's Yakima, whether it's Dene, whether it is any of the 600 plus nations that represent us today, at least those that are federally recognized. And so each of us coming out of our respective national identities have these stories that contain our own respective accounts of our beginnings as a peoples. And in the beginning, for us as Cheyennes, there was Ma'il, and Ma'il means the great one or the creator, sometimes referred to as the everywhere spirit, Ma'il, the great one. And he lived in a void. And as Ma'il moved through this endless time of nothingness, Creator decided to put power to use and to make a world and people to live in it. Ma'il said, what good is power if it is not used to make a world and people to live in it? And so initially, Ma'il created 4 very powerful spirit beings that we call the Ma'il, who he created to witness the act of creation. Now, we have to also understand that Ma'il is androgynous, has male, female. And so after Ma'il created these 4 sacred beings who were to witness the act of creation, he then created 4 substances with which to make a world initially. First, Ma'il created sweetgrass, that sweetgrass that we use today. But this sweetgrass, according to Ma'il, in making the world, was the beginning of all plant life. Then Ma'il created buffalo fat, which was the beginning of all animal life. Then next, Ma'il created sinew, with which to hold the world together, because Ma'il wanted something that was very strong to hold this beautiful blue planet Earth together. I can remember my mother rushing to when we butchered cows to get that little sort of muscle on the backbone of the animal that she was going to use in making her moccasins or in her beadwork. And so Ma'il had created the first sinew because Ma'il needed something very strong to hold this sweetgrass, the buffalo fat, and finally, of course, red earth paint. Earth, red paint. We call it ma'adam, and it is for us in ceremony the sacred red paint that we are painted with as we go through the sun dance, ma'adam. And this red earth paint was to be used to make the earth. And of course, you know, we're the color of earth. Whenever I was in ceremony, our Sundance priest would come along and he'd have to touch my skin. Oh, there's some there. My skin was the exact color of that red earth paint. Certainly, we're all a shade of that ma'adam. Then next, Ma'il created a great body of water. And out of this great body of water, Ma'il knew that he could bring all life. After that, Ma'il created water beings, those that lived within the water, the fish, the salmon, all of our relations, the water peoples. Then Mott Hill created water people, those who lived on the water, such as ducks and geese and swans and all of those birds that fly. Well, Mott Hill could hear the flapping of their wings and the movement within the water, and Mott Hill said, I want to see what has been created. And that was all he said, and light began to grow in the east and spread all around the horizon, and it filled the entire sky air above. How beautiful it all is, Mott Hill thought with the heart. Then one of the water peoples came up. She, Snow Goose Woman, said this, Mott Hill, I do not see you, but I know you exist. I do not know where you are, but I know you must be everywhere. And she added, we are not like fish. Sometimes we would like to get out of the water. Then Mott Hill told them, fly. And they flew and formed living patterns against the sky as the light showed them to Mott Hill. And finally, the Loon Man was the first to drop back to the water. And Loon Man said, Mott Hill, look it around, for he knew that Mott Hill was all about him. And then he said, when the birds get tired of swimming and tired of flying, we want a place where we can build our nests. So be it, Mott Hill answered. He said, I have made 4 things: the water, the light, the sky air, and the peoples of the water. He said, now one of you must go to find land. Then, of course, you got Snow Goose Woman around. They said she was very large and very strong, just like our American Indian women today, with all of the strength that they carry in their wonderful physical beings. And Snow Goose says, let me try. And so Snow Goose Woman was gone for a very long time. In fact, Mott Hill and the others around counted to 400 times before they saw this stark shape coming up from the bottom of the water. But when she reached the air, she opened her beak and took a deep breath, and Mott Hill said, Snow Goose Woman, did you bring something back? And she says, Hawaan, no, I brought nothing back. Then after Snow Goose Woman tried, her brother Loon Man tried. And then after the Loon tried, Mallard Man tried, and each of them too, as they rose back to the surface of this water, said, nothing, I brought nothing back. And finally, here comes this little boy coot of a kind of a duck. And came swimming around, and he shook the water from his scalp locks and said, Mott Hill, I cannot fly or dive like my sister and my brothers. Maybe I can swim down. May I try? And Mott Hill said, I have asked for the help of all the water people. Certainly you shall try. No person can do more than her or his best. That is something that we always remember as Cheyenne peoples, or people that, especially for you in school, no person can do more than his or her best, but you just keep trying your best. And see, this teaching comes from our creation account for us. And of course, this little coot boy was gone for a long time, but finally he did resurface, opening his beak so that a little ball of mud could fall into Mott Hill's hands. Mott Hill could become like a man if he wanted to. And Mott Hill said, "Go, little brother." And then said, "Now-ish, thank you, now-ish." He said, "And what you have brought, may it always protect you." And so it was, and so it is, for the coot's flesh, I'm told, still tastes of mud, and neither man nor animal will eat a coot unless there is absolutely nothing else to eat. If you look at that act of this little coot boy bringing that land up from the bottom of this huge body of water, he performed a service. And so in return, Mott Hill granted him with flesh that tastes like the land that he brought back up with him.
What happened? The story was good.
You may
Ah,
have,
what happened to the
you may have dropped.
ducky? What did the ducky do then?
Okay, I've returned. I don't know what happened. All right, I think I was talking about how in return for the little coot boy performing such a wonderful and great service, that Mott Hill rewarded him with having his flesh taste like this earth that he brought back up. That is really an act of reciprocity, something that we as Indigenous nations put a great deal of emphasis on, being of service to somebody and someone rendering a service back to us. And so once Mott Hill had this mud, then with the power of Mott Hill's hands, this mud grew and grew and grew, and it became just almost too large for Mott Hill to hold. And then Mott Hill said again, "Come and help me again, water peoples. I must put this mud somewhere. One of you must let me place it on your back." And they all tried until finally there was only one water person left. And you can probably imagine who that is. That was Grandmother Turtle. She said, "I am so old and very slow, but let me try to help you." But her back was just perfect. And this mud expanded and flattened out until Grandmother Turtle was hidden from sight. "So be it," Mott Hill said once again. "Let the earth be known as our grandmother. And let the grandmother who carries the earth be the only being who is at home beneath the water or within the earth or above the ground, the only one that can go anywhere by swimming or by walking as she chooses." Again, that is that act of reciprocity. Grandmother Turtle performed the great service of holding this world of ours on her back. And for that, all her descendants are amphibious. We continue to live in reciprocity. For example, as sun dancers, if someone is going to be our instructor, then we make offerings for services. So reciprocity is something that certainly is a value that we as Indigenous peoples put an emphasis upon. Then Mahiel did not want Grandmother Earth to be alone with the void, as he had once been alone with the void. Then Mahiel created a man person and a woman person, but they were so powerful they couldn't live together. So he placed the woman person in the north with her assistant Winter Man, and then he placed the man person in the south with the assistance of rain and thunder. And because they are too powerful to be within proximity of one another, they come and go across the surface of Grandmother Earth. And the man person, along with his helpers, bring spring and summer. And then whenever it's getting cold, like it is about now or several weeks ago, then the woman person with her assistant, who's Winter Man, we call him Hoe Maha or Wotgim, they come from the north and they tell this man person who brings spring and summer to go back to where your home is. We want to come to put Grandmother Earth to sleep and cover her with a blanket of snow so that she can rest for a bit. And so we have this concept of knowing that there is a time to work, there's a time to be of service, and there is also a time to rest. I don't know that anyone has ever let Grandmother Earth rest after 1492. And so they alternately come across this land, creating the four seasons as we know them to be. Then after that, Mahiel created human beings from things in their environment, water, light, firelight, red earth paint, and then Mahiel called the winds from the four directions to come give these human beings the breath of life. Then Mahiel placed them on earth to walk through life, to walk this road of life that all of us have been collectively walking since creation. And then once this was done, Mahiel placed these four sacred beings who had witnessed this long involved story of creation in their homes in the semi-cardinal directions of the universe. First of all movement for us, even in a religious sense, but always begins with the southeast direction of the universe. The semi-cardinal directions are what we emphasize in Cheyenne cultures. There are other nations that emphasize the directions themselves of east, south, west, north, but ours are southeast, and that color is a color white. And during that time, babies are born, and until about 12 years of age, they're not expected to do anything except just to enjoy life, to be like little sponges to absorb all of the life around them in that white time of one's life. And then as they go around this earth in this medicine wheel of earth, and they go to the red time, young people. And a lot of you are in that age of being young people. We say from about age 13 to 29. And it's the red time of one's life. It's the time to learn, to be educated, specifically by the elders who sit across the medicine wheel from you. Then that person continues to walk around this road of life, this earth, which is represented by a circle, to reach the yellow direction, which is in the northwest, and that represents maturity. And that's the time to learn, to do things, to get married, to have a family, to become parents, but to also learn the ceremonies that were given to each of our nations respectively, and then to begin to strengthen their lives spiritually, because they are going back around this earth circle to in completion of their life. And they go back from the northwest, further north, where they become elders, and that's signified by the color black. Sometimes some say blue, and in the adulthood of life, that color of maturity is yellow. And so the being an elder is a time when you're like a cottonwood branch thrown into the fire so that your teachings can warm the hearts and the life of the people, because then they go. We have an opening in our medicine circle, so we go back out that opening to go to live back in the world of spirit from which we had come. And so so that was where these spirit beings were placed in their homes. And once these sacred beings were stationed in their homes in those semi-cardinal directions of the universe, Mahil cried out 4 times. As you know, for some nations, the number 4 is very sacred, as is the number 7, or any combinations of such. And Mahil cried out to these spirit beings and told them, he said, spirit beings, watch over these human beings who I have created with my power and whom I love. Take pity on them as they walk through on this earth. And so today we know that these spirit beings are still with us and that they continue to help us if we show them the proper respect and call on them for assistance. You have probably seen witnessed men offering their pipes to those 4 directions, honoring those beings that live there. And we know that Mahil is still with us, that Mahil is everywhere watching all creation. And all creation is the first and enduring community. This is a community that we continue to live in today. Then Mahil looked at creation and concluded with the heart that earth was the most beautiful of all creation. So our traditional knowledge keepers and storytellers hold such stories in their minds and in their hearts. Stories of creation recapture our sacred and our wondrous past and have been kept alive from generation to generation for our entire existence. Beautiful earth, sacred earth, where we live, where we join together in community in this, our only home, this beautiful blue planet earth. And so from my point of view and what I have just shared with you, earth is a gentle, loving mother. Not only is earth beautiful, she's our first mother, our spiritual mother. And she has many, many and very diverse children who are representative of all life. She is mother to the mountain people, the rock people, the 4 winds, the 4-legged peoples, the rooted people, the swimming, flying, crawling peoples, and the 2-legged upright walkers with 5 fingers, and others, all created at the beginning of time. And so all life lives within this gigantic earth community, a community created at the beginning of time that is still with us today. And so we live in an ocean of relations, which expands continually outward to embrace the sun, the moon, the stars, and space in a universal community characterized by interdependence and interrelatedness. This community is one gigantic kinship system. We live in a relational community in which everything stands in sacred and proper relationship to everything else. This reminds us that we must live as good relatives and care for others within our respective communities and with the totality of Earth. Furthermore, we know that we come from the earth, we belong to the earth, and that we journey in life across the earth. We are Earth. Earth is us. Cheyennes have a saying that goes like this. They say, "Hot nane hof," which means I am Earth. Hot nane hof. Earth is many things to us. Especially significant is that Earth is our one and only home. Furthermore, Earth is our altar from which we send our prayers out into the universe. As Indigenous peoples, we have a very strong attachment to Earth, in which we are spiritually rooted, in much the same way as our rooted relatives, the trees, the flowers, the grass, all of those things. And just as the plant people have roots, so do we. Ours are invisible. Our roots reach deep into the soil, into this land, to spiritually anchor us to earth. We are spiritually rooted in the sacred red soil of this earth where we were to grow and flourish, to keep grandmother earth company, and to always protect her. As children, we are like fragile little plants that have very weak roots, fragile roots. We can be quickly uprooted from our cultural environment. And then as young people you are like flexible willow branches shaped by the teachings, the traditional teachings of our elders and other of the teachers that you learn under on the college campuses and universities of this country. And then whenever you reach adulthood, you are like this gigantic, elegant, strong cottonwood tree, and you give shelter and protection to everybody else. Your roots are very strong. Those spiritual roots go deeply into this earth. And then as elders, when you're my age, you're like a dried cottonwood branch. Your roots are separating so that you can go back to live in the world of spirit, and that your teachings can be thrown into the fire of life to warm the hearts of the people. And so that's a view of how we're to be in community, within community. And we also, each one of us, our nations, have very strong values that have always guided our ancestors, and that must continue to guide us as individuals who belong to community earth. There are many values, and you have some of your own, but I have just picked up a few, and I always begin with humility. We have to learn to walk naturally in spirit, with quiet modesty in everything we do. It is the ability to walk without pride and without vanity. It makes us very humble when we realize that we are but a very small part of community earth. Next, there is compassion. Being able to think, to feel, and to act with the heart is to be empathetic, sympathetic, and kind-hearted. It also fosters forgiveness. One of my aunts, my dad's youngest sister, sat me down one day and said, "I want to tell you, Henry, about Heartline Connections." And I looked at her as my auntie mama. And she told me that we were connected at the heart, one to another. And she said that it does not matter where you go in this world. You and I have that heartline connection that stretches wherever you go, and it is never broken. I remembered my aunt's words to me, and sometimes I often thought as I wandered the world about my aunt's heartline connection. I always had a tie to home, whether I was in a classroom in Sevilla, Spain, or in Oxted, England, or on a boat in the middle of the Coral Sea, or even on a ship sailing through the Bermuda Triangle. My heartline connection to my aunt, even though she's walked on, is still there. Love remains. And so for us, thinking with the heart is rooted in creation. My creator, remember, looked at the earth and with the heart thinks that she is the most beautiful of creation. This indicates the importance of thinking with the heart, with what is in the heart, and not just with the intellect. You learn to balance them. And of course, we all have been taught about honesty, to speak truth and to be incorruptible. Honesty. That's one of our four law ways as Cheyennes. And then our grandparents have always reminded us to be generous. And our generosity is best typified in a giveaway. And I know I can go to the powwow of the American Indian Council in Bozeman, and you sit for hours and hours as family gives away for some of their students, showing their generosity. But sometimes it doesn't have to be those kinds of material goods. It can be a gentle word. It can be a smile. It can be a handshake. And sometimes maybe a cup of water. Generosity. And then our elders seem to always be patience personified, with their ability to calmly endure delays without complaint of anger and to peacefully wait for something to happen. Patience. I've heard the phrase, I want patience, but I want it right now. Yeah, so you have to wait. Then, of course, respect. Respect is the hallmark of the cultural ways and the values of this land's peoples. Respect is the reverence for all life and for all people. All our relations from the four sacred directions, from the white direction, from the yellow direction, from the black direction, each possessing their beautiful color, need to have respect for them. And to have reverence for everything in our environment as well as for oneself. Self-respect. That is exceptionally important. And finally, the last one I'm going to mention is love. Love. I don't know how you define it. You live it. But it's devotion to all life and all people. And love and respect, as my grandparents have told me, are the two most powerful tools for maintaining harmony and peace within the community. So we as American Indians or indigenous peoples or Native Americans or whatever we're called, these strong values have helped us to endure throughout all times. Were it possible to live these values, we could save ourselves and community Earth. We would not have to be concerned with racial injustice. We would not have to be concerned about white supremacy or white supremacist attitudes. We would not have to cope with attitudes and feelings of superiority or inferiority or gender inequality. We would not have to be concerned about a world confronting climate change and global warming. Shared values such as respect and love for our life, foremost for the earth, love for the earth, would not have us gravely concerned about climate-caused wildfires or drought. and other erratic weather changes included rainfall and heat. Regrettably, our mother, the earth, has been gravely abused with resource extraction and abandonment of our stewardship responsibilities. So the four human relations of earth have failed to exercise their common mandate of loving and respecting the earth and living in community with this place that is our only home, planet Earth. Indigenous peoples possess a collective abundance of love and traditional knowledge. You are our generation of hope and promise. And as you continue to walk this road of life into the future, remember that you have a lengthy tenure on this land that extends far back into the past. This traditional knowledge can help you understand and live in respectful and loving community with Earth. Remember that the four powerful spirit beings continue to watch over you as the two-legged upright walkers with 5 fingers. A trust that Mahel charged those spirit beings with at creation. And these powerful spirit helpers continue to exercise their loving care from their homes in those sacred directions of the universe. I want to say that you as young people are those beloved human beings made to live on this earth, to keep Earth company and to protect her and to continue to live in her abundant, loving community. And those of you who continue to act in accordance with our values, you keep us human. Thank you for that. Your story is yet unfolding. It will not be over until it is over. Look forward to that unknown future with your powerful weapons of love and respect. Remember that you are our living miracles of knowledge and strength who survived the tragedy of Indian-Anglo relations of oppression. So take heart and walk gently and confidently into the future, knowing that generations upon generations of your grandparents have thrown their prayers of protection over you. You are blessed with a Chama-Wustan heart, an indigenous heart. I, too, throw my prayers of love and protection over you and the next 7 generations. Live in peaceful and loving community with all life and this beautiful, sacred earth. So that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you for honoring me. And I don't know how much time I have, if there are some questions.
There could be, yeah. Thank you so much. I've been trying to type out everything you say, but that's kind of it's been very hard because everything you said is good. Like everything you said was tweetable, and it's really hard to follow everything you're saying, which is really good because
Well,
it might be better
I found some errors in this, but I can certainly send a copy of it to your headquarters if you like.
Oh, that'd be,
And maybe you all can distribute it to those that might want a copy of it.
yeah, that might be better. If there was mistakes there, I wouldn't know. I don't think anybody else would know either. You're just speaking very poetically, and all of it was very good. And I don't know if you can see the chat, but everyone's saying thank you, mahalo, for your words. And a lot of people want what you were going to share. Thank you very much, Dr. Mann. Thank you. For
Okay. You don't mind that I marked all over it where I found my errors. So you'll just have a very revised copy, but
Okay.
I will be more than happy to scan it if you all will Well, I should have your address someplace.
Yeah. Just you can send it to me or to one of our producers, or we'll have.
Oh, I've got
send
it
to-
on my computer. I'll just set it as an attachment to Nicholas. I think I got his address.
That works best. Thank you so much for being able to do that. Yeah, if there's any questions anyone has, everything she wrote, I tried to type out what you were saying as the quotes on the side so people can remember the good words you have for all of us. I'll invite Nick to this time too. So if the producers can spotlight Nick too. So yeah, Nick.
And Donnie, there's so many words of appreciation. I don't know if Dr. Mann is seeing them. So if students want to share a thank you, I would also love them to be able to do that.
I would enjoy that.
Yeah, I think it'd be better. I don't know if it's possible, producers, to just unmute, because I don't know if Dr. Mann can see the text. I think she's on a phone, so if people want to say thank you in their language or out loud, if that could work, that'd be great too. But there are a lot of people saying thank you, Dr. Mann, for your words.
Oh, you can just say it was my pleasure. It was my honor to spend this time with all of you, and thank you, grandson Nick, for.
Yeah, thank you, and I love hearing I just love hearing your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's getting so old, Nick.
Yeah. I'll let everyone else share, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So
hopefully we'll see.
Yeah, I think Nick was expressing his appreciation. But yeah, people can unmute yourselves if you just want to say thank you to Dr. Mann. That I think she'd like to hear your words.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. That was amazing. I've been looking for like a lot of passion this whole conference, just trying to revitalize myself, and it was just amazing to listen to you talk. And I wish like it was like a MP3 or something. I could listen to it all day, every day.
Later?
It would keep me
you can
sustained
always
for sure.
invite me to your wherever, and I don't know though. Your grandmother here is very reluctant to fly anymore, but I like to take road trips. So
thank you.
I could certainly come to visit.
Palamia from us here in South Dakota.
Palamia.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Lakota
you.
relatives? Yeah.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
your story.
Cheyenne.
Oh.
Yeah, anybody else want to say thank you?
Thank you. Your words had wisdom and authority. You honor us here.
Thank you.
For your wise words.
Words are sacred. So we have to be very careful how we use our language, because they're made with that sacred breath of life.
Yeah, Miigwech, it was so beautiful, so blessed. I feel so warm from your words. So thankful.
Thank you. Well, we were all meant to be together, to warm our hearts, to be together in community, to be at peace. Yes, today was very important for each one of us. To me, too. I've missed all of you. I've missed my classroom. I've missed going to see grandson Nick in Montana and visiting with all of my grandchildren there at Montana State University. So you are now a part of my great big grandmother circle.
In the text, Kelsey, she said, my grandpa is George Elton Howell Sr. of the Pawnee Nation. And she just wanted to say on behalf of her grandfather.
Oh, well, thank you. I live just across the state from the Pawnee Nation.
Oh, nice, cool. Anyone else? Open time to share your thanks for Dr. Mann.
Just want to say, Kuya Nakbuk from Alaska. Your words were healing, and especially at the end. I mean, all of it, but just it was like a benediction. You know, we face a lot just living life, and you spoke life over us. So, yeah.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Words just come through. They come through. I'm glad you were here to listen.
I'm one of the old cottonwood branches too.
You're
not that old. But.
I'm so brittle. I'm such an old 86-year-old cottonwood branch. You're a young man compared to me.
That's right. I wanted to say thank you, Haho, for representing your people. I live a number of years in Anadarko.
I was just there the other day. Yeah. I drove to Darko.
So, the Roman Noses and White Eagles and Lawrence Hart and a lot of people who...
Lawrence Hart is my lifelong friend. We grew up in Hammond, Oklahoma together. I've never known a day where Lawrence Hart wasn't my friend.
They say Hammond, no socks. So, yeah, I just want to say that of all the people, we've lived in Indian country in different places for over 35 years. And, you know, the Cheyenne people taught me humility, respect. I saw that from them more than any other people I ever lived around. And you exhibit that too. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you for sharing those values with us, because I've seen your people really live them out. So even in their deepest need. Generosity.
Well, I guess we all have to learn them as we walk through life, and it's a sacred journey, and those values are so important in having strong, loving, caring communities.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. So some students are wanting to adopt you as their grandmother. Is that okay?
Well, they're going to have to check with, where is he? Where's Nicholas? Nicholas want more brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
There's always room.
Is there an applicant?
I can definitely share. I think they'd probably vote me out.
Okay. I'd be honored to be your grandmother. Any one of you out there.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mark.
Yate, grandmother, this is Mark Charles. I'm one of the founders of this conference, the Would Jesus Eat Fry Bread Conference. And I want you to know how blessed I was to hear your story and how deeply grateful I am for the wisdom that you shared and for the values that you shared. Not only that I could hear them, but when we began planning this conference, one of our desires was to give our students a space to both talk about Jesus and hear the stories of our elders. And to see you, even on the Zoom call, right? We couldn't even meet in person, but to have you on the Zoom call to be able to talk with our students and to share your wisdom and to share your story with them, my heart is full of gratitude. And so I wanted to say, thank you so much. And I am definitely blessed having heard your words today. So thank you.
You honor me. Now, Ash, thank you. Thank you. It was my honor, my pleasure.
Anyone else? Anyone else like to express their appreciation?
Quay. I'm Megan. I'm a member of the Wendat Nation. I live in Tulsa.
Oh my goodness. Hi.
So we're close, and I don't know if you know, but the conference was actually supposed to be in El Reno this year before
Oh my goodness, right down the
COVID shut
road.
everything down. But the first night Randy was talking about story, and it just felt like such a gift to like I don't know if you can tell, I'm sitting outside and I just closed my eyes and listened to the story, and it was wonderful to receive a story and all the richness of it. So thank you for that gift.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell you a secret. I told you it was an excerpt. If I told the whole story, we'd be sitting here till midnight. Not that long, but at least an hour or so. So I really was selective about sharing with you what I thought you might want to hear.
Teja May, thank you.
Now, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Megan, our Wyandotte representative. Anybody else want to come on and say thanks?
Aloha, I'm Isaiah from Hawaii, and I'm sure my other friends would probably want to say something. I know Moani, if she was here, she'd definitely say a big mahalo nui. Just thank you so very much for your time and just for your voice and your breath. And yeah, that's something even in Hawaii we have is like the idea of that your breath is sacred, the ha, that sacred living breath. And yeah, so just mahalo for your time. And we always love Yarakupuna, our elders, when they speak to us and tell us stories. And yeah, it just was really touching. And just hearing also just like the heart and all that, the respect, the honor, and just all the different values that were encompassed within that creation story was really beautiful. So yeah,
Thank
mahalo,
you.
mahalo.
And you live in paradise. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Isaiah. Where is Mawani anyway? It's funny with Mawani.
She's at church. Sorry, she's pastoring right now.
She has a magical backpack that has a ton of gifts in there, and she pulls out stuff, and so I'm pretty sure it's magical. So.
Oh, thank you for the gift package. My goodness. I'm still eating some of that candy. I had some before I sat down here.
Yeah, most of the students were given one, so yeah. But yeah, as part of our appreciation too, Henrietta Dr. Mann will send you a gift of some coffee and some a pendant that I got for you from Albuquerque. So just to express our appreciation, and I'm sure she's willing to accept other gifts from other people wherever she's living now. So if you have something you made or something you want to give to her, I'm sure Dr. Mann would greatly appreciate that. So thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us and just letting us sit at your feet and to hear this wisdom that unfortunately a lot of us don't get to hear from grandparents or elders in our community. So this is a rare gift for all of us. So thank you. Let's all give Dr. Henrietta Mann a round of applause and a big thank you. You can Lili or hoo-ha, whatever you do to express gratitude. You can do that now. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw someone said, where do I send it? I can certainly give you my address, but how do we do that? Shall I just do that? Or can they get it from you?
I'm assuming the producers might have it. Do you have it, Nick, by chance?
I've got it. I can send it.
Yeah. Okay, I got two guys competing for the mic. So Luke or Nick, go for it.
We can either post it, or if they just want to email us at WJEF@crew.org, we can get it to them individually.
Okay, yeah. So we have your address.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay, by the way, I'll have to copy I want you to have all of my little edits, so I'll copy it and it'll come by snail mail. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much. You have a good rest of the afternoon, or if you're hanging out with us, you get to hear some more speakers. So thank you again so much. That was really good words of life and encouragement. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll just go now and sort of relax and say, oh, good. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you so
remember, you've got
much.
a grandmother here, and this grandmother loves all of you. Remember that, grandson Nick. I love you. You all walk safely.
Thank
Wear
you.
your masks. Wash your hands. Social distance.
There you
Just
go.
be safe.
Yep. You guys heard Grandma. You better wash your hands and put on your mask. Even on this call. Just kidding. You don't have to do it on this call. But I'm going to invite Hillary now to introduce our next speaker.
Okay. May I leave now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. All right.
Give another
Love
talk.
you all. Take care.
Bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Wow, wow, wow. So our next speaker, I think, will has difficult shoes to follow in, but she has done mightily so as a younger person in that life cycle that Dr. Mann was talking about. Our next speaker is Makaiva Kanui. She's from Hilo in the Hawaiian Islands, and she is on staff with Native InterVarsity. She runs a Native Hawaiian-focused ministry called Hui Ho'omana. And she and her family, her husband and 2 children, spent 8 months living on Mauna Kea, protecting their sacred mountain. And she recently has delved into songwriting as well, and has been writing songs that have been born out of her experience living on the Mauna. So she's someone who's done some really deep thinking and praying and feeling into her Indigenous identity and has crafted a presentation about what she has been learning on that journey. And we're very honored that she is joining us now to share a little bit about that. So we're going to invite Makaiva up. Obviously, if you guys need to, take a stretch break, feel free to turn off your video quickly and do what you need to do, but come back on the screen if you can, because she's got some good stuff for us. All right, Makaiva.
Makaiva, you're still muted.
Kalamai. Is just technical question. Am I side by side? A slide.
Yes, you're side by side for me. If she's not and you want her side by side, go up to the view on the right hand upper corner, and you can select side by side speaker, and then you'll get the Makaiva and her presentation.
Awesome. Okay. Well, aloha mai kako. O Makaiva ko'ui noa. O Hilo ku'uani hanau. O Ola'a ku'upunana. O Mauna Kea ku'u mauna. O Waiuli wai olena ku'u kakai. O Bruce Tong Jr. Laua o Kale Ko'oha ku'u mau makua. O Wau ke keiki elua. I puka alilo I wahine pilia pa'ai ku'ukane. O ho'omaikai ka haku hana o ia he elua keiki kane. O Kawila Laua o Eke Mana. Aloha everybody. My name is Makaiva. I was born in Hilo, but Ola'a, which is 15 minutes away from here, upland, is the nest I was raised in, and I currently reside in Hilo. And Mauna Kea is my mountain. Waiuli, Waiolena is my ocean. And Bruce and Kale are my parents. I am the second child of 4 sisters or 4 daughters. And I am a wife to Ho'omaikai Kahaku, and I have 2 wild boys, Kawila and Ekemana, who you see pictured here. That's basically their daily attire, is just their cute little boxers or nothing, running wild and free. I also want to honor specific kumu or teachers and elders in my life. I would like to honor Kumu Kaho'okele Crab and Auntie Dutchie Safri. And also, one of the major teachers in my life has been the Po'e'i'a, so the fish peoples. I was raised with fish all my life. That was the livelihood of my family, is cutting, cleaning, selling fish. I married a fisherman, and we're also raising boys to be fisher boys. So here on the left is my son's first fish that he caught just not too long ago. I'm very proud. He legitimately caught that on his own. And in the middle is me and my husband night diving, and on the right is a picture of my two boys, just having fun at the beach. But also they're creating relationship, right, with this place that we call home. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous to follow Elder and now Grandma Henrietta Mann. So my small group is probably thinking like, wow, I clean up really well. But yeah, I just showed up in a cotton t-shirt most of the time. But I do feel like, in the presence of elders, I always feel like, I want to present my best self. And just want to also give a shout out to the elders that we have heard from thus far. We call everybody uncle and auntie, but Uncle, Elder, Dr. Randy Woodley, and Auntie Edith, and all the, I know there's Mark Charles and Uncle Tim, like everybody who's here, and Uncle Terry. I'm feel very grateful to be able to share amongst this multicultural and intergenerational virtual space. So in our time, I'm actually gonna share about something that I've called ho'olokahi piko'u. So it's this thing I don't know how to describe it, but it's a teaching of how to restore cosmic unity and identity. And it's work that is dear to me because it is the work of decolonizing and indigenizing theology and our life ways, but more contextualized to Kanaka Maoli people or Native Hawaiian people. So it's interesting, like Kanaka Maoli, literally, that's the name that we call our people, but the literal translation of that is like real people. So, some of, as I listen to other folks, in our culture, we might have kind of like the similar name for ourselves, like, but Kanaka is people, and I'll share more about that. And then Maoli is like real and true. And so Lokahi, this is the definition of unity. There's actually in our language, we have many, many, many different layers of meaning for one word, and I'm sure it's similar for some of your languages too. So when I share definitions, I'm only sharing like one out of the many, many. But Lokahi is our way of saying unity, agreement, accord, harmony, agreed, and there are some other definitions. And Ho'olokahi is to bring about unity, to make peace and unity, to be in agreement. Those are just some definitions to keep in mind. And for me, one of the ways that I indigenize theology is looking deeper into our language. And there's many other ways I do that through, of course, like relationship with land and peoples and self. But the language, there's a lot of gems when we spend time finding a lot of the root or intentions of each word that can really shape your perspective of life and the world. So really briefly, I just want to introduce someone in our history who has influenced the way that I kind of see the world and life. But his name is Josepa Kaho'oluhi Navahio Kalaniʻopuʻu. He, in a nutshell, he was a writer, teacher, lawyer, politician. He was a newspaper publisher and editor of a newspaper called Ke Aloha Aina. He was an artist, a painter, a patriot. He was a Renaissance man. And so if you look back at our history, I would say Joseph, he's also known as Joseph Navahi. That's another way of calling him. But he is like one of our superheroes in history. And there's a lot I could say about him. But I just want us to read some of his writings. So this is a translation of an article that he wrote in April of 1893. This is my personal translation. There could be other ways of translating it, but he was a man of Keokua. He loved Creator, and that influenced a lot of the work that he did. But he shared a lot about his love for Keokua or Creator, and he shared a lot about how that informs his love for land. And this excerpt that he shared and wrote about was about three or 4 months after the overthrow. So just to kind of give context to that as he's writing this, it comes from a place of passion and also in a time of distress for our nation. But I'm just going to read through it. And this is like just a snippet of what he wrote. But it says, "From the earth is how our life continues and then returns back to earth. We can all see truly the connection and accuracy of the beginning words of God, who left us a land that feeds the people, that their life continues, and love that is the key to explain the sacredness of all things. Love the Lord your God with all your soul. That is the first part. And love people, earth. That is the second part. And if we implement these two commandments and we love God and people, that is how we can continue to live with love for the land, the bones of our parents, ancestors from Adam to us. This duty that is the instilled foundation of man, it's been intertwined when he made man. To love, and it's sectioned into three parts. 1, love God. 2, love people. 3, love the land. Therefore, the man that truly loves a few will love all. And the man that says he is Aloha Aina but rejects God, you can say of this man that his love is not real, deep, or true. That is how we recognize people who go around proclaiming publicly with a loud voice their Aloha Aina. But Aloha Aina is love for the land. But you can see beneath these false words that there is a love that is worthless from these people. These people only have love for man." So it's a very intense kind of writing. And like I said, this is just a snippet of what he wrote. And later on, he actually goes out and calls out specific people, like watch out for this people over here. And, back in the day, Hawaii at one point was the most literate nation in the world. So we have so many journals and articles out there that we're only now, because of the revitalization of language, now we're going back and we're reading them and learning about our life ways and learning about the story of our ancestors, etc. But I like to always say that like the newspapers back then was kind of like our modern day Facebook. So they would share some amazing, profound wisdom, and then they would be like kind of arguing back and forth, like you're wrong and I'm right. So it's kind of funny when you come by those. And kind of I always think it's kind of funny how courageous they are in the writing. But from the writing of Joseph Navahi is one way that I began to deepen my understanding of lokahi, or as Randy Woodley has shared, the harmony way. And it helped me to develop sort of this model called ho'olokahi piko'u, like I talked about, kind of this restoring cosmic unity and identity. So this is a design that I made. And hold on one second. Okay, I put these fancy animations. But so this top part of this triangular model is Aloha Kia Kua. Just, just as Joseph Navihi was talking about, is love for our creator. And here on the bottom left is Aloha Kanaka, love for people. And here in the middle is Aloha Ya Oiho, which is love for self. And here on the bottom right is Aloha Aina, love for the land. Oh, am I here? I got disconnected for a little minute. So these are all connected. And in this next slide, these bottom three are foundational parts to understanding and loving God. So you see in this, I don't know if can you see my my mouse thing. So in the middle, Aloha Ya Oiho, loving yourself. In this depiction, you see that self is actually a mirrored reflection, or it's a reflection of Kia Kua. So right, it's the reflection. And in here, you'll see Aloha Kia Kua, loving creator, is depicted by this mountain because he is our highest mountain. And here is a moon. And in our culture, we have a name for every phase of the moon. And for us, our calendar was based on a lunar calendar. But this full moon is actually called Akua, and that means creator. And in this depiction, you see that this living water from the mountain is flowing into us, and that that represents Kia Kua flowing in us, the living water. And also in this part of loving yourself, there's kind of these lines that are converging together. That is a stylized depiction of Lauhala. Lauhala is pandemus. I always say that wrong, but pandemus leaf. It's Isaiah, the Hawaiian botanist. I see him laughing at me. But it's what we would use to weave mats together. And it's also a symbol of ho'oponopono, or reconciliation. So when we would have reconciliation, traditionally, our people would meet on a lauhala mat. So this part of self, it's represented by that lauhala because, as we are in relationship with Kia Kua, there's this reconciliation that happens from us to him, but also the reconciliation of our relationship to land and people. So next slide. So these are just some practical ways. Honestly, the list is endless of ways we can be loving these different areas. For example, so Aloha Ya Oiho, loving yourself, is growing in a loving relationship with your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health. Being committed to your overall well-being, growing in your ethnic identity journey, and knowing your genealogies. Aloha Kanaka, loving people, is engaging in social justice, racial equality, family relationships, carrying your responsibilities within your community, your neighborhood, your marriage, whatever it may be. Aloha Kia Kua, loving our creator, could be living in right relationship with Keakua and all of creation, allowing Creator to flow in us and through us. Aloha Aina, loving the land, listening, learning, and serving First Nations. I mean, especially for those who are not First Nations, engaging in environmental justice, recycling, zero waste living, farming, ethical fishing practices. Like I said, the list can go on and on, right? And I think, and I share these examples, and the examples are not meant to compartmentalize, like Creator, self, people, and land. Like I said, they're not just connected, we're all close relatives. And you know, in our culture, we also share the same genealogy, and we share some of the same DNA. If you think about that, you know, coming from dust, etc. So, you know, connecting to your genealogy it helps us to stay grounded and know where we come from, and that continues to strengthen our relationship with people and also Keakua. You know, it's all of these are all connected. But if you take this model and put it in your context, right, some of these examples is going to look different for you. So this is just kind of some quick practical examples that come to me. So this is what I consider a broken model. And it's predominantly kind of like the model that we see in the Imperial Christian Church, where kind of like there's Creator and then there's you. And Keakua, or Creator, fills us up, and but there's not really like a flowing out. And so that's what I mean, where it's a broken model. It's a self-centered, it's incomplete, and it's also not balanced. So right, if you actually try to stand this on its own, it's gonna fall. Right? There is not that support, that foundation that's grounded in Aina, in land, or grounded in your relationship with people. And so I wanted to share this scripture with you folks. And actually also here in this, I don't know if you can see, there's also like a cross here. But I wanted to share this scripture, and in Hawaiian it says, Ina e makewai ke kahi e hele mai ia ia unei e inu. O ka mea e manaʻoi o ia'u e like me ka kapalapala he molele I mai ai. E kahe mau mai nā muli wai no loko mai o kona o pu. It means, let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them. And we know that Yesu, or Jesus, is our viola. He's our living water. And living water flows in us and through us, and it flows from us. It's this vai, water, that gives us life, that gives life to Aina, land, that gives life to our people. And one thing I want to point out, when I spend more time kind of diving more in the Hawaiian language Bible, and I learn a lot from, I guess, ancestral way of thinking, and that helps me to inform scripture. But this part where it says makewai, so that's the word that is used to say thirsty. So make is to want, vai is water. And so makewai means thirsty. But also make is another word of saying dead. So makewai is also dead water. That's how I see it. And so dead water to me could also mean stagnant water. So it's water that fills up in us. You see my my little tachygraphics, but so it fills up in us and then it just stays there. And then it gets a little stagnant and gets a little algae. And in this other word, kahe mau mai is a word that is used for flow. So kahe, yeah, is to flow, and mau mai is like forever. Like it's always gonna flow. And so just based on the Hawaiian, I learn a lot from what the Hawaiian is saying, and so it makes me think of this other scripture. Makololo Hawaii, oya I ono, o ke kino uhane ole, ua make no ia. Pela hoi, kamana o I ohana ole, ua make no ia. And in English, it is, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. And that it uses in the Hawaiian, it uses that same word that I just translated, right? Make. Make is dead. And the deeds or the actions that I feel like this scripture is talking about is that flow that comes out of us. And when if I can go back, how do I do that? Okay, yeah. If you go back to this past scripture, where it says, whoever believes in me, as scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within me. It doesn't say rivers of living water is gonna flow in me and fill me up and it's gonna stay there forever with me. I'm not gonna share it. It's no, the rivers of living water in Hawaiian, right? That's gonna flow forever is gonna flow from me. It's supposed to go out. It's not supposed to just stay there, because that is how we get makewai, dead water, the death. And so oh yeah, I have these cool arrows. So this is right, that the arrow is, as we are in loving relationship with Keakua, he flows in us, and then water flows, the rivers of living light water flows from and forth out of us into Aina, land, into Kanaka, and then likewise we know that we are raised by our mothers, we're raised by our fathers, we're raised by aunties and uncles, and our community pours into us all the time, just as Aina pours into us too. And we literally drink the water that comes from land. We eat the food that comes from land. And in our language, Aina literally is translated to that which feeds. So the land feeds us, the land sustains us. And this exchange that happens, right? Like Keakua flows in us. We pour out into Aina, Aina pours out into us. We pour into people, people pour into us. We also, we honor Keakua too. In our language, we have a word called vaivai. And vaivai is the word we use to describe, oh wait, I lied. I thought I had another thing for it. But vaivai is a word to mean like richness, wealth, value, costly. And traditionally why we use that word is because in ancient times, access to water determine your wealth, right? Because to have access to water means your land will be abundant and your people can eat abundantly. And another word for vai is also economy. And this kind of reciprocity of living water that I see as being exchanged between us and people, us and land, us and Keakua, that is vai. This is vai. This is water. Actually, yeah, vai is water. That's the translation of it. So this is what I would consider, right? This is vai. This is rich. This is what richness looks like. This is what wealth looks like. This is what economy, an indigenous economy looks like, where there's this exchange and reciprocity that's not necessarily like there's no obligation. Like I don't have to fill out a W-9 to work for Aina, and it's it all comes from this loving relationship that and Randy Woodley, he used that word earlier, co-sustain. That this loving relationship that we that co-sustains. And so I use ho'olokahi piko'u, that word, to kind of describe this model. Ho'olokahi is to bring back into unity this our identity, because our identity is not just about self, right? It's kind of restoring this cosmic identity that we have with all these areas and elements and peoples. And so with that, I just have some closing reflection questions for us. And, you know, what I shared is from my context, but these are some ways that maybe Keakua can help you make it be more real for you and your context. And I just wanted to end with a song, but as I end with this short song, these are some of the questions I offered to you, and they are: in what ways are we makewai? In what ways are we thirsty or stagnant and needing Keakua to fill us with his vaiola, with his living water? And how is Keakua, Creator, calling you to flow? So I wanted to just end with this song. I actually shared it in my seminar last night, but I just wrote this song last week, and it's a love song to water. And it also references that part of like the rivers of living water flowing in us and through us and out from us. But I just pray that this song would help to connect you to this vai. And I also want to dedicate this song to all the kupuna and all the elders that are here on this call, and all the elders that we represent here on this Zoom call. Yola loa e huai tukuna ku puna vai hako I ko ni e vai eli kama vai eli kama vai eli kama Wairu ai ohonu te vai o lalone e kahe mai ka muli vai I o laloa e wai tu puna vai hako I koni e vai eli kama vai eli kama vai eli kama Mahalo.
Oh, the chat is blowing up. When are you dropping your album on Spotify, Makaiva?
I don't even know what Spotify is.
When are you dropping it for WJEF on Facebook? You're on YouTube now. Oh, that was so, so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And wow, what a powerful theological image you have created there with so much thought and so many layers of meaning. I think that was really powerful for all of us. And Makaiva, my father is a professor in a Western theological seminary, but he recently incorporated some of Randy's writings in his courses, and I'm always feeding him stuff. I would love to share your image with him if you'd be open to that. He was actually born in Hawaii, so I think it'd be cool for him to. Awesome, thank you. Does anyone else have any? Well, you're getting a lot of thank yous. I think if anyone had any questions for Makaiva, we have time for a few minutes of questions. I think you're just getting a lot of thanks. All right, well, if not, we will move to a break for dinner. And Donnie's Diner will be open for eating with elders. So just like last night, there was an opportunity to just sit at the feet of elders and kind of have a big group chat. Renee Begay again will be facilitating that. Okay, I'm seeing in here that it's not in Donnie's Diner. We're doing it as a breakout room. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. So if you want to join into the breakout to hang out with elders, you do that right from here down at the bottom of your screen with the breakout. Otherwise, come back in 45 minutes, whatever your time zone may be. It's in 45 minutes. It's 7:30 East Coast time that our celebration will begin. Some of you have been trying to send videos, and if they're too big for emailing, you can upload them to the Google Drive that Nicholas has just dropped into the chat. But we will also be welcoming any live sharing. Makaiva, I'm sure everyone would love to hear your song again and just bask in your voice. All right. Break begins now. Be blessed, everybody.
Cash every check, try to buy a